They will sell you on the idea that the old 1906 Warhorse has a 21% case capacity advantage, quietly hoping you just assume that means 21% more rifle. But internal ballistics does not pay out horsepower just because you poured more powder into the brass. Calling these two legendary cartridges interchangeable is not a harmless simplification. It is a calculated sales tactic designed to move whichever rifle is sitting on the shelf today, keeping the buyer in the dark while the industry cashes in. Today, we are putting both of these American legends on the workbench and throwing the marketing brochure straight into the trash. We are going to rank them from the highly efficient runner-up all the way to the undisputed heavyweight champion. We are going to find out where that missing performance actually went, who is profiting from the confusion, and which piece of brass truly belongs in your hands when the canyon is wide and the animal is heavy.
Master Review.
Coming in at number 2, the .308 Winchester is the ultimate blue-collar workhorse of the modern shooting world. Think of it like a highly tuned 4-cylinder engine. It does not have the massive displacement of a muscle car, but it burns its fuel with absolute precision. This is the go-to tool for the deer woods, the flat range, and the guy who values trigger time over chasing raw numbers. Because it rides deep military supply chains, brass is plentiful and the ammunition is significantly cheaper to stack deep. You feel that efficiency the second you press the trigger. The shorter, wider powder column ignites uniformly, giving you a smooth recoil impulse that runs about 14% lighter than the heavier alternatives. I watched a shooter recently run box after box of 150 grain through an AR-10 platform all afternoon without ever breaking a sweat, building real, undeniable marksmanship while the guys running magnums were busy icing their shoulders. That lighter recoil means you can actually stay in the scope and spot your own impacts instead of fighting a flinch. But here is the reality check that the military history buffs try to gloss over. The guy at the counter will tell you the Army upgraded to the .308 because it was a more advanced, highly capable round. That is completely false. The military designed the .308 strictly to match a deliberately throttled service load, all just to save roughly 92 million pounds of brass and let a soldier carry more rounds per pound. It was purely supply chain arithmetic, not a verdict on downrange performance. The moment you try to push past a 180 grain projectile to take down heavy game, the .308 hits a solid brick wall. The case geometry is so short that heavy, long bullets are forced to seat deep into the brass, starving the powder column and completely choking your velocity right when you need it the most. The .308 earns the runner-up spot because it is a masterpiece of efficiency that flawlessly feeds modern, magazine-fed tactical platforms. But when the target gets massive, and you step out into the big timber, you need a tool that was built completely without a ceiling. Taking the undisputed heavyweight crown at number 1 is the masterpiece that was built completely without a ceiling. The .30-06 Springfield is the old-school muscle car of the cartridge world, rolling off the line back in 1906 with a long action and absolutely no restrictions on its maximum potential. When you are stepping past standard white tail setups and loading up massive 200 or 220 grain projectiles to punch right through heavy shoulder bone, this cartridge does not even flinch. Because of its longer overall length and natural geometry, you can seat those massive, heavy bullets far forward without ever crushing down into your powder column. The case breathes perfectly, leaving plenty of room to pack in slow-burning propellant that generates undeniable stopping power. I know guys who spend their entire lives logging terminal ballistics on heavy game out west, and they all point out a hard truth about modern monolithic copper bullets. Those incredibly tough projectiles demand a high impact velocity just to peel their petals open and work properly. That extra 100 feet per second you get from this older, longer case is not some useless bragging right. It is the absolute working margin that keeps your projectile expanding dependably out past 300 yards, ensuring a highly effective hit on a quartering elk instead of a grim tracking job as the sun goes down. Here is your final reality check. The industry spent decades trying to convince you that a shorter, slightly more efficient case could completely replace this heavy hitter across the board. They were wrong. When you look at the big picture, the choice is extremely clear. The 38 is an absolute masterclass in efficiency, perfectly tuned for the range, modern platforms, and standard environments where you want to stack trigger time. But when the target is heavy, the wind is howling, and the canyon is wide, the 30-06 brings a level of terminal performance that the shorter case was literally never engineered to deliver. Take a hard look at your own gun safe. Are you running a short action for the sheer efficiency? Or are you hauling the long action into the backcountry because you refuse to compromise on payload? Drop your primary choice down in the comments. If you are tired of the marketing fluff and want cold hard field data that actually works in the dirt, hit that subscribe button. Keep your gear ready and your powder dry.